Alright guys, so I'm opening up our template here, and the first thing that I actually want to do is get rid of the traditional and the subtractive. The subtractive one it's redundant. It's not necessary because it's the same as the additive, just flipped upside down. And so I think I want to just get rid of those ones. And then the traditional, when it comes to making these palettes, there's things like the blue on that particular color wheel shows up at 244, even though we've sort of driven it home that blue is technically at hue 240. So I want to get a little bit of that confusion out of there right away just by getting rid of those other two wheels. So we're going to work with additive on this one. And also, if you go to the classroom here, it shows our palettes. It shows a traditional triad palette, and we've got these colors in here, but there's also reds and some, there's colors because of the way that it was blended. And so I really don't want to be using blends on this at all because it puts colors in between the parent colors. So that's kind of where I'm going. This I think is probably more appropriate for what we're looking for. So for this one, do not use the blend option in Illustrator if that's how you're going to be doing it. And this, I'm doing this in Illustrator, but the same thing works in Photoshop just fine. So I don't know, I'm going to use we want a triad. So I'll just do a primary. It looks like I've got white. Is that what's going on? Yeah, I've got white. Let's get that in there. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do this nice and clean, but we'll do it better. Okay, you don't want to do just a you don't want to do it with the colors that I'm using, right? Never do. So we'll just do a secondary here. So we're going to grab magenta. Make sure we're on. There we go. So I'll use magenta as one of my parent colors, and then I know cyan is 120 degrees away. So I'll do that. Or I'll drag them down this way. And then yellow is 60. Again, we're looking at hue 60. Add 120 to that is 180. Add 120 to that is 300. So we're going to then, just using our sliders here, the triad, we'll take, I don't know, let's start with magenta. And magenta is a sort of warm color, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to, we're going to switch this around a little. Are we going to switch it around? No. We'll do this. And the reason I'm doing that is because I see two warm colors, and so I want, a selection of cool colors to sort of balance those guys out. So I'm going to have two cool colors, two warm colors, even though those are the same for right now. All right, so from there, we'll start with magenta. We know that magenta is a hot color, so we can, kind of make it lighter. Maybe, go lightening it up like that. But it's also paling it down, so maybe we do something like that. Create a slight tint interval there. And then, sorry, this is going to drive me crazy if they're not lined up. So there we go. Okay, so yellow's sort of in the same boat. Yellow, we can lighten it up. The problem with yellow, though, is you eventually sort of reach that point there where it looks like white, but that's okay. That'll give us a little bit of range to work with. Cyan, I can go with shades. Okay, and then maybe we do the same thing, but we start with tones instead. So we've got gray going on in there. They'll be similar, maybe more similar than we'd like, but I think that's okay. And then at this point too, I've got like an extra one here, so I could go like super dark if I wanted to. It's not pretty, but we've got nothing but cyan, yellow, and magenta now, right? So that's good. That's exactly what we're looking for, is a palette made up of just three hues. various tints, shades, and tones of those three hues. So that way, if you use the blend, it puts hues in between your parent colors. Doing it this way gives you control over that, and it's easy. I mean, you just move the slider, drag it in. Okay, so then the tetrad's this exact same deal, except a tetrad needs to make a rectangle or circle on the color wheel here. So back up just a little bit. So, oops, not that one. I want the line. So yeah, you're making a rectangle. So you can come in and go from here to here, here to here. Is it not? There we go. It always turns that stroke off, which I guess is fine, but sometimes I actually want it. Okay, so we can come in here. Right, get ourselves a rectangle. And here's the sort of the sneaky thing about tetrads that isn't totally obvious at first, but you actually have two sets of complementary hues. There's always going to be two sets of complementary hues. So, your tetrad, if it doesn't have those two pairs, then something's wrong, right? So a tetrad really is just two sets of complementary hues. So this works, right? We've got that hue 210 and hue 230. They're 180 degrees apart. 270 and 90 are 180 degrees apart. We could, we could take it and, let's, right? So there we go. And then, of course, if we connect the dots there, we get a square. But either way, two pairs of complementary hues. And then you just do one row of each or column of each, and that should get you there. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions, but this one's pretty straightforward once you sort of don't use the add a subtractive or traditional wheel, and once you don't use the blend tool. So, yeah, let me know.